Hello and welcome. My name is Katie Farnsworth, and I'm presenting today on massage therapy, a complementary and alternative medicine approach. Our objectives include a brief history of massage therapy, techniques used, indications, contraindications, treatment modifications, a cultural perspective, and a few important health teachings. The history of massage dates back as far as 1000 BC in China, where one of the oldest medical books in existence talks about the treatment of paralysis and the reduction of circulation using massage. Forward a few hundred years, where Hippocrates, the father of medicine, describes gentle rubbing of a shoulder post-dislocation to promote healing. In Rome, in 129 BC, 16 books were written describing massage and exercise in a way that helped both the rich and poor draw circulation and warmth to the skin. A reference was also made to the treatment of edema in the legs of pregnant women using massage and rose water. Yang's dynasty developed the first 3-year training program that taught doctors how to use massage to treat fractures, diseases, injuries, and several different types of wounds. French surgeon Ambroise Pierre translated Gallen's work on massage and added information on helping immobilize surgical patients to help resolve congestion. In 1731, Admiral Henry described how pressure needed to be vigorous and even painful in order to achieve the most benefit. His counterpart, William Beveridge, believed that massage needed to be adjusted based upon the client's symptoms, tissue, and overall health. In the 1800s, the Royal Institute of Gymnastics was established by the Crown to reward Henry Ling's effort regarding massage and exercise. Following his death in 1813, Augustus Georgi published a book in French based upon Ling's system. The work of these two men developed into what we now call Swedish massage. During this time, in the United Kingdom, a series of scandals involving poorly trained nurses working in houses of ill rapport caused a black cloud over massage. A group of nurses took it upon themselves to establish a society of trained masseuses. The nurse established training courses and examinations to help standardize massage practices. This group eventually became known as the Chartered Society of Physiotherapists. Post-World War I, at the recommendation of Surgeon General Mary McMullen, a British trained massage therapist, came to the U.S. to train Americans in the process of massage. These newly trained individuals helped injured soldiers returning from war. Modern training and licensure is dependent on the location. Each state and country has its own requirements. In New York State, for example, you must be licensed by the state and have training that includes techniques, contraindication, supervised massage, anatomy, pathology, physiology, hygiene, and ethics. Although non-Swedish massage techniques are used in conjunction with Swedish massage, the base of most massage practices developed through Ling's theories. Direction, pressure, rhythm, rate, and duration are important factors when massaging a client. It helps the client in achieving the desired effect. Generally, with massage, you will achieve a relaxing effect by applying a slow, rhythmical, and repetitive stroke. It's done in a repetitive pattern and at an even rate. To achieve a more stimulating effect, strokes will be brisk and in a less predictive pattern. Deeper pressure and the duration of the massage will depend on the client's desired effect and overall health. There are several indications for someone to receive a massage. These reasons fall into two categories: physiological and psychosocial. A client can have a mechanical effect that will improve their adhesions, increase range of motion, treat pain, decrease muscle spasms, and reduce trigger points. The reflective reaction will occur because of the release of vasodilators and the neurological response to the change in the body. Some individuals will note a loosening of mucus and an improvement of overall lung function. They may also note an improvement of lymphatic flow and a reduction of peripheral edema. Massage can also increase the white blood cell production, which will help fight infections and disease, not to mention the improved circulation. The psychosocial effect includes relaxation, reduction of anxiety, improved sleep. Studies like the effects of massage on the hospital preterm neonates, a systematic review by the International Journal of Nursing Studies, has shown that regular massage on preterm babies born before 37 weeks showed significant benefits, including increased gastric activity, increased serum insulin levels, a positive effect on the brain, along with a reduction of neonatal sepsis. This ultimately resulted in the reduction of length of hospital stay and the reduction of neonatal stressors. These are a few examples of systematic conditions that are an absolute contraindication to massage. These conditions put the client at risk for developing further complications and possibly even death. Massage is designed to improve a patient's condition, not worsen it. A client who has an infection could be at risk of spreading that infection. Clients who have recent acute conditions like CVAs or MIs need time for the body to recover before causing a vasodilation and possible further complication. With certain conditions like diabetes, the client is able to receive a massage as long as there are not any comorbidities like gangrene or DKA. These are a few of the local contraindications. With some of these conditions, the client may be massaged but with extreme caution. For example, if the client has a DVT in their leg, then you would not massage specific leg in fear the clot could be dislodged, causing a larger problem. Localized damage to the skin is also contraindicated, in fear that further damage could occur if blood flow is altered to the area. When in doubt, use caution and do not massage the client. If at any point the client complains of pain, the massage needs to be adjusted or stopped altogether. If the patient develops a more severe reaction like shortness of breath, chest pain, or a severe headache, then further medical assessment should be made by a medical professional. Conditions that result in spasticity like cerebral palsy, hemiplegia, MS, and spinal cord injuries are just some conditions that require an awareness of possible adverse effects of massage. CHF clients are going to need a calmer, less vigorous massage due to the vasodilation that occurs. It is strongly suggested by the New York State Licensing Board that massage therapists take a patient's blood pressure prior to performing the massage on the client. Again, depending on the type of massage, the client could be at risk for orthostatic hypotension and would need to be reminded to rise slowly following the session. It is important that a massage therapist be specialized in pregnancy and labor before performing massage on a pregnant woman. If caution is not used, preterm labor may occur. Prior to massaging a client, the nurse needs to take in consideration the medications that the person is taking. Analgesics can alter a person's pain reception, so techniques like vigorous, deep, or painful massage are contraindicated because the client may not know that they're being hurt. Anticoagulants slow the clotting process, and repetitive muscle stripping and friction could lead to severe bruising. Tuine Noir, a CAM therapy followed in traditional Chinese medicine, uses rhythmic compression along different energy channels to establish a harmonious flow of qi in the body. Qi balances the body by removing blockages and working to establish positive energy in the client's system. In contrast to Western massage, the client will remain clothed during the session. The practitioner will apply pressure to meridians, acupoints, and groups of muscle in conjunction with herbal compresses, ointments, liniments, and heat to focus on a specific problem. Tuine Noir is practiced regularly in Eastern medicine and more recently in conjunction with some Western medicine. The final section is about health teaching and what the nurse should explain to the client or patient. It is important that the nurse stresses that massage does not replace conventional health care. If they are having a problem, they should seek the advice of a healthcare provider and not ignore the issue or treat it with an alternative medicine approach only. If notifying a physician will allow the physician to recommend a specific therapy and if there's anything they should avoid during treatment. They may also have a specific therapist in mind that they know and that they have worked with in the past. It is also good to recommend to the patient what to look for when seeking out care. Knowing the licensure and the experience a practitioner has will help with the patient receive the best care possible. I'd like to thank you for listening, and I hope you have a wonderful day.